So in this segment, we're going to be talking about Rishi Sunak accused of blocking Brexit progress by standing in the way of Article 16, which is funny. A funny headline, isn't it? Sunak's not Brexity enough for them. There have been accusations of him being kind of a Brexiteer in name only and things like that, which kind of makes sense, I suppose, because what are his credentials for being a Brexiteer? Not much. I suppose Liz Truss's her kind of thing is thinner. Her kind of Brexit facade is thinner, but she's kind of converted into a hardliner, and the Sunak really hasn't. He did look for an equivalency deal with the EU during last year, didn't get it, has threatened constant deregulation, hasn't really done much of that. So it'd be interesting to see what he comes up with. He still has time to come up with something, and when he does, no doubt we'll review it. But this is one of those ones where it's very much a what's the insular firing squad? Is that the phrase? But a circular firing squad, that's the one. But that's what this feels like, which is great. I enjoy this stuff when it's not the left for once, the People's Front of Judea. So Sunak has been accused of blocking plans to invoke Article 16 by allies of the Prime Minister, which again is further going into this briefing war between Sunak and Johnson, which I'm here for it, who say he's a nominal Brexiteer who has stalled progress on the Northern Ireland Protocol. You're not Brexiteer enough, get out. Claims come amid rising tensions over the Chancellor's proposed 1.25 percentage point rise in national insurance contributions, which is far higher. I think it's around closer to 10% in real terms, which is just absolutely horrific to do that, especially in a cost of living crisis as we're seeing now. Increasing taxes is a dumb thing to do, along with increasing interest rates, which is a dumb thing to do. Sources close to Sunak were forced to deny reports he had passed off the 12 billion health and social care levy. A levy is a tax, as the Prime Minister's tax, which it sounds like something he would have said. But again, he's meant to be a low tax Tory, which has gone out the window. He's delivering on Brexit as the Chancellor. How? What's he doing that's delivering as the Chancellor? Because the Level Up scheme is a joke. It's underfunded, undercooked, and Sunak won't put the money up towards it. So we're going to be talking about the Level Up stuff a lot more over the coming week. I'm very far behind. I'm sorry, I was ill. So the Chancellor's found himself at the centre of an increasing bitter briefing war between, he's potentially the new incumbent. He's the one that people think will be Prime Minister, against the old guard, the old Prime Minister, and he doesn't want it. They say when one empire is rising and another is falling, they are doomed to fight each other. Well, maybe that's the case for leadership contenders in the Tory party. You shiv the one who's got the best chance of shivving you. One key Johnson ally said Sunak pushed the national insurance increase. Whatever he says, Boris told me at the time that the Treasury insisted. So Sunak has pushed for this tax. At least that's what Johnson is briefing. The other thing is that he has been fighting to stop invoking Article 16, which is delayed sorting out the Northern Ireland situation, which really wouldn't sort out the Northern Ireland situation. It would make it way worse, and the EU would tear up the TCA, which would further damage the UK's economy, which is probably the predominant reason why Sunak doesn't want Article 16 to be triggered, because any damage on the economy will reflect very, very badly on him. So that's why I think he does not want Article 16 triggered. So Sunak has fought to stop any action that would upset the EU on trade, which again makes sense because he's not the trade minister, but if the economy is damaged and cost of living goes up, he's not going to look very good. He's a nominal Brexiteer and completely captured by the Treasury, which really isn't true, is it? Did the Treasury throw a Pokeball at him? What are you guys talking about? Stop making excuses for your boy. This is who he is. He's showing you who he is. A spokesperson for the Chancellor dismissed the claims, saying he would not have been part of a cabinet that signed up to the protocol if he didn't believe in it, which, okay, collective responsibility does exist, but I think that's a bit of a lie. He fully and firmly believes in Brexit, probably a lie, and he's delivering on that as a Chancellor, also a lie, because, again, the Levelling Up scheme is a joke. A government source told The Times the Prime Minister was considering delaying the Northern Ireland increase rise for a year as red meat for the right-wing Tories, which again would have been even more stupid because you're putting a national insurance increase in a potential election year, 23. This national insurance contribution will go from 2022, I think it's about, say, April 2022 to April 2023. Now, an election would have to happen, could happen potentially in the summer of 23, where Sunak can say, look, I've got rid of the national insurance increase, it's gone, people are going to save more money or keep more of the money that they make through working. Kicking that into next year, a tax increase in a potential election year, are you stupid? That's just so dumb. Unless, of course, he wasn't going to do it anyways. That's the only other way he could spin it. But, you know, by constantly saying, oh, we have to do this national insurance increase to fund the NHS and blah, 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 it's not going to end well when you have to backstep on it. He's wobbling. I think he would do anything to survive, a source said about Johnson. The Treasury is increasingly alarmed by the suggestion, sources told The Guardian, with one frontbencher claiming Sunak may be forced to resign if Johnson overrules him on the tax. So he's saying that, it's very odd actually that, you know, Sunak is saying that, you know, this is the Boris Johnson tax. On his briefing, his aides are briefing, there's the Boris Johnson tax, but also saying, oh, if Boris Johnson overrules me on the tax, then I'm going to resign. Like, is it Johnson's tax or isn't it? Make up your mind, Sunak. The row erupted as Johnson has warned that he would face his own Black Wednesday if he pressed ahead with the national insurance contribution increase, which will cost the average worker an extra £255 a year, which people will notice because when you look on your payslip, you'll see your national insurance contribution go up, especially if you compare, I think it could be the March and April figures. People will notice that, especially because people are struggling right now. Again, this national insurance increase is stupid. What we should be doing is a windfall tax on, you know, energy companies making bank, but we're not. The Institute for Fiscal Studies questioned the timing of the proposed levy ahead of a looming cost of living crisis, pointing out that lower than expected borrowing means that there is fiscal headroom to move it to next year, or maybe not do it at all. Maybe that's what the IFS should be saying. You know, we're going to start feeling the pinch from April when national insurance contribution rise kicks in, along with an increase in energy cap, which again, potentially bills going up by 50%. So not only are you going to pay more in taxes, but you're going to pay a lot more in energy bills, which is just ridiculous. The amount the prices are going up. Potentially 50% increases, whilst the French are looking at 4% at the most because of the French government, and the UK not stepping in here is just abysmal failure of leadership. Former ministers from Sir John Major's era have claimed that Johnson is heading for a disaster similar to the scale to Britain's exit from the European Exchange Rate Mechanism, ERM, in 92. And what's funny about this is, this crisis, I thought it happened later on, I thought it was in 95, but if it's the case it happened in 92, and this is the thing that cost John Major the election in 97, that's crazy that that generation of voters clearly had a much longer memory than this generation of voters, should I say. But I'm not sure how bad it was back then in 92. I heard people lost houses and a lot of middle class people were ticked off. So let me know in the comments, how bad was Black Wednesday? The crisis resulted in the Tories suffering a landslide defeat to New Labour at the 97 general election, which again is about 5 years on. It's kind of crazy. David Davies, one of our favourite Brexiteers, said, the thing I'm really worried about is that we have another ERM moment. It would be like Black Wednesday or Black April. Would it be an entire month of bad stuff? So John Redwood, another favourite character in the Brexiteer camp, says it has the hallmarks of a disaster about it, which these guys are clearly scared about this, which tells you something. They are very scared about the national insurance increase, which, you know, the Tory party, I think, passed in earlier votes. So why would you vote for it if... why would your party vote for it if they know it's going to be that bad? I suppose it would fully annoy Rishi Sunak, which would have been hilarious. Could you imagine losing vote like that? Mel Stride, the Conservative chairman of the Treasury Select Committee, said his personal view that there was an opportunity now to not go ahead with the national insurance rise in April because of the cost of living pressure that there are. I mean, again, these guys saying, oh, you know, the cost of living crisis. You guys don't care about the cost of living crisis. Get out of it. You guys have never cared about that sort of stuff. He says it should be delayed by a year, but again, you're kicking it closer to an election. Are you sure you want to do that? Because that's a big gamble. That's a huge gamble doing that. So, yeah, I think personally they should scrap this and do a windfall tax, but they wouldn't do a windfall tax, especially if certain companies are Tory party donors. But you'd have to look into the specifics of who's donating to who at that point. Anyways, you know, Sunak being accused of not being Brexity enough and blocking the use of Article 16, which, you know, if Johnson wanted to do it, he could do it, and Sunak would have to resign. He'd be out of cabinet, out of the limelight, which I'm amazed Johnson didn't do. So I think this is further adding to the briefing war against Rishi Sunak, saying he's not Brexity enough. That's what I think this is. This is just a further addition to the briefing was that's trying to pretend that it's not. Blaming Sunak for not triggering Article 16. Johnson really wanted to do it, he could. Sunak wouldn't be able to block it, not really. But anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Support the channel on Patreon if you can. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one.